In this session, we are going to write a program that will work on files. It will ask the user for the names of two files. The first file should be opened for reading, and the second file should be opened for writing. The program should read the contents of the first file, change all characters to uppercase, and store the result in the second file. The second file will be a copy of the first file, except that all characters will be uppercase. Use Notepad or another text editor to create a simple file that can be used to test the program. So, if you remember, we created a file read write Java, and we said basically you can use this framework for most of the file operations, where you will enter the input file name, open up a file for input, enter the output file name, and open up a file for output, and go through all of the rows inside the input file. And inside here, you can perform any logic you want and eventually close the files. So let's go back to the question. It says, ask the user for the name of two files, which is covered by a framework. The first file be opened for reading, second file be opened for writing, covered. The program should read the contents of the first file, which is covered. Change all characters to uppercase. This is the only logic that is not covered, so we will single this out. It will eventually go into the while loop and store the results in the second file. The second file will be a copy of the first file, except that all characters will be uppercase. Use Notepad or another text editor to create a simple file that can be used to test the program. So what we are going to do is we are going to, from assignment, create new class, which we'll call sample. I think I should call it assignment. I think I accidentally changed the naming convention here, but that should be fine. We will do a class assignment 3 file read write. And by the way, you can actually change the class file inside Eclipse. You can just change this. And now you will have an error, but somehow you can rename the file. And now it's following our naming convention now. Okay, so go back to file read write. Public static void main string array args, and the Java doc comment, where you will have the description. I should have copied this over. So it looks better. And Java doc comment for main. All is done. Now we can copy the framework over. Framework is here. And inside here, we are reading, so we have everything ready for input, for output, and there are errors because, look at the error message. We have not thrown the exception type, so we need to create we need to throw the exception type too. Now we open the file, we get the input file name, open the input file, open the output, get the output file name, open the output file. Inside here, we are reading each line in the input file, and we need to output the uppercase. So here we are actually going to print input dot to uppercase. And we don't need this char length. And so that's it. That's it, that we just read through the input file and get the print line. And get the uppercase and print it out. So let's run this. And I believe our previous, I'm trying to find the Eclipse. I'm trying to find the Eclipse folder, which is supposed to be somewhere. Okay, let me do the right way of finding the Eclipse workspace. So I'm going to come here to the menu bar, get the Eclipse folder, and go to my project and source assignment 3. And I'm going to create a text file, which is called input. And here it will be, let's do Mary has a little lamp. And let's repeat it. Mary has a little lamp, has two little lamps. And how about 3? And now we have this input file. And remember, we talked about a path. We are going to use a relative path. And when we run this, input file will be input.txt. And we are going to call it /output.txt. And it's done. It's done, and we open this. Mary has a little lamp, 2 little lamps, and 3 little lamps, all uppercase. So it's perfectly fine. So the takeaway from this question is that there are certain patterns, certain design framework, certain code logic that will show up many, many times in different places. For example, this open the file and process each row and close it. A very important part of Java programming is to recognize the pattern and utilize existing code whenever possible. We are just at the beginning, and this is the first example that we are showing you this pattern. In our following session, we will go through more patterns so that you can utilize as your tool set. Somebody already invented the wheel, and you don't need to.